Ooh. Well, good morning, everyone. It is the appointed time. We require 6 for a quorum, and we believe that 2 other members of the Citizens Advisory Board are on their way. So we're going to wait for a few minutes to see if we achieve a quorum. You may have noticed that they have most recently acquired these really bright lights, and for Bob Nalen and me, it really kind of accentuates our presence here because it kind of shines off the top of our head. But it is what it is. Carol, I believe we have a quorum. Do you agree? Well, seeing that we have a quorum, we're going to call our meeting to order. I want to begin with an announcement that our friend and colleague Mike Dover suffered a heartbreaking loss in his family this week. He had a son that passed away, and just want to note that our thoughts are with him. and he's been a very faithful member of the Citizens Advisory Board for almost 13 years now, and is a close colleague for all of us. And we're very sorry that he couldn't be with us today, but it's a sad day for his family. All right, that then brings us to item number 2, items for individual consideration. You have been furnished with copies of the minutes of our October the 27th, 22 meeting. Are there additions or corrections? Shall we approve them? Moved by Bob Nealon that we approve the minutes. Has been seconded by Cecilia Robinson Woods. Record your vote. Let's see. How do I do that, Dave? I vote yes. The minutes have been approved. That brings us to item B, the revenue and expense report and the budget and obligations report. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in your packet the MAPS 3 revenue and expenditure report for the period ending February 28th, 2023. On the revenue side for the month, a whopping $7,878. Fiscal year of $547,401, and a total of $837,943,904. On the expenditure side for the month, $532,436. For a fiscal year of $13,685,120, and total of $793,487,725. You also have the budget and obligations report for the period ending March 1st, and that's in your packet. I'll try to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for David? Bob?
Just a comment, and that is that while the revenue in February was nominal, it still is phenomenal that as we wind down MAPS 3, we are, if my math is correct, about $61 million more than originally budgeted, which is really incredible. I mean, obviously it's spread over 12 or 13 years, but really amazing that we've done that well, and how terrible the budget people were and estimating how much money we would get in this program. So plaudits to the citizens of Oklahoma City and all of our guests who come into town and pay sales tax, because it's marvelous what we're able to do.
Well, it is great to be involved in a project that lasts more than a decade and still be within our budget. So I think all of us are taking justifiable pride in that. Any other questions for David? Shall we receive it? Moved by Cecilia Robinson Woods that we receive it, seconded by James Cooper. Cast your vote. Lisa, I vote yes. The motion passed. We will receive it. Even after 13 years, we still take a lot of help from staff to try to get our votes cast, so be patient with us. Thank you. That brings us to item C, David.
Sorry, I turned my agenda. So item C is recommend approval of request for proposals to be advertised, project M3-H004B, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 3, operating partner, 3820 North Lincoln Boulevard, Ward 7. So it's unfortunate, but understanding, and I sent each of you a copy of the letter that we received from Langston, but they are unable to function as our primary operating partner now. Things have changed since their original proposal, specifically the acquisition of the Channel 9 studio is putting a drain on their finances and taking a lot of time and staff time. So they've notified us that they do not feel they can any longer be the primary operator of Wellness Center 3. I believe they'd still be open to being a partner with someone on Wellness Center 3. So what we've prepared is another request for proposals in the same manner that we have done 4 times before. And it's the same document with the exception that I took out the pieces about working with the architect to select a site, because obviously we have a site, and working with the architect to design the building because the building's already been designed. Fortunately, the building is such that it is very flexible and very functional for anybody that wants to operate pretty much anything in there. So as I said, this will go through the same process that we have for all of the operator proposals. There'll be interviews and then recommendations. It will still come through the subcommittee and through this board and then on to council for approvals. It's a little more accelerated than we did before just because we need to get somebody in that building. The building will be finished in July, and we'd like to have somebody in there very shortly after that. And of course, even after they're identified, it's going to take them about, I'd estimate 30 days to just hire staff and train staff and get things up and rolling. So I think the timing is still good. There may be a month that the building will be ready and we won't have the operator, but I think that's minimal. So we did not have a quorum at the Senior Health and Wellness Subcommittee, but those that were in attendance did agree that this was the best way to approach this and to send it on to this body and then hopefully ultimately to City Council.
Cecilia, any comments from the subcommittee?
I'm trying to turn my mic. Oh, there we go. I was unfortunately not able to make the subcommittee meeting yesterday, but I did want to speak a little bit to Langston's departure from the project. I mean, just, and I know we passed along the letter, but understanding when Langston entered into the partnership, they were really looking for a presence in Oklahoma City and saw the senior wellness as an opportunity to expand their nursing program and their physical therapy program and to help the community. And so they did enter into the partnership with goodwill and great intentions. And I have to bear a little bit of the burden for them not being able to take it because it was my suggestion that they went to the Channel 9 building. So,
Yeah.
But it was a perfect storm for them. But I think as Oklahoma's only HBCU, having a presence on the east side is still going to be possible at the Channel 9 building, which is really one of the things that we wanted to make sure happened. Having said that, one of the concerns that I have about selecting a new partner and going through this process again is one, timing, which I know we're all going to be concerned about. But there's a big difference between selecting a partner that has time to develop over 3 or so years, a plan, staffing, funding, capital, versus somebody who's going to take over a building almost tomorrow. And so I don't know in regards to budget or in regards to resources that are available is how willing we would be as the city to support operating expenses for a certain amount of time just so that we can get this going. I think the project is important enough to the community. I think it's necessary, but I don't know, and I don't know everybody who potentially could apply in the RFP, but I wouldn't want to negate people in the Northeast community from applying because they don't have the capital to start managing something like that in 6 months. So just wanted to get that out there.
All right. Well, this has been recommended by those that were present at the meeting that we approve this request for proposal. Are there any other comments? Shall we approve it?
On Cecilia's point, how do we make sure, I know how an RFP works and we can't control who applies, and then of course there's the criteria with which that selection committee would select who it would be. At the same time, certain words Cecilia used ring a bell in my head, which is, I just wonder what the vision, the operating vision is, like what services we're hoping to provide in this wellness center. And I think in some ways, there might be unique needs. So for example, we know, and I know we're talking about seniors here, but just an example, we're talking about East Side. In the state generally, we know the infant mortality rate, right, amongst certain zip codes, and then within those zip codes, Black Oklahomans is higher. And we know certain health outcomes generally that are negative are higher. And so it just makes me wonder, what is the vision for addressing the health needs of a part of the community which for decades we've not addressed those needs, which is partially why we're in the position that those needs, right, need addressing. So it just kind of strikes me hearing you talk about Langston mention nursing and these sorts of services, that was an opportunity to kind of help address very specific community needs and help us get to better public health outcomes. And so that's my concern about the loss here. Now, I know we don't control the fact that they stepped out. I understand that. In other words, what I'm more interested in is the opportunity to kind of find partners. I don't know if it's something we mentioned in the RFP. I know you've already crafted it, but it just seems that what is the vision of the operator here to address the unique needs of not just Black Oklahomans who call Oklahoma City home, but an East Side with a zip code that just has not had a lot of its needs met through the years. And we can be mad about, bringing up that fact, or we can just, face it head on.
Councilman, that is how we've addressed all of the wellness centers. There's a core group of things that we look for, the aquatics and the exercise components, but each of the operators have brought forth specific things that they feel like responds to the wellness center that's in their immediate area. So that is part of the RFP requirements, and that will be part of the interview process and the scoring.
I think those are good points,
No, definitely.
Councilman Cooper, yes.
Sorry,
Go ahead,
definitely-
Cecilia.
Definitely good points, and also, to expand upon that, David, the kind of benefit of this, separate of, being a part of the designing of the building, is the community members that were involved, especially with Langston initially in the design and in the services that would be provided. Some of the things that were added were specific to this community. So I think the operator actually kind of has a blueprint of what the community expected based on the building.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that the proposal today is to begin the process, and we'll all get a chance to review what the vision is through the subcommittee and here and the council. So other questions or comments? And it's been moved by Cecilia Robinson Woods that we approve, and that's been seconded by Dee Morales. Is there further discussion? Cast your ballot. I vote yes, Lisa. The item has passed, and look forward to hearing more about this. This is a very important project for us to get completed for MAPS 3, and I think we're all committed to getting this done in a wonderful way. All right, D. David?
Item D is recommend approval of resolution approving change order number 11, project M3H004, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 3, 3820 North Lincoln Boulevard, increase of $53,540.26, and authorizing the transfer of $100,000 from project M3H002, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 1, to fund change order number 11 and future change orders through the completion of the project, Ward 7. So this continues with our Senior Wellness Center 3. First of all, I want to point out that we have depleted the budget and the contingency on that, and that's why since we have finalized the additions that were at Wellness Center 1, there was $200,000 still in there, and we're asking to move $100,000 of that into this so that we don't have to go to excess collections and interest like we have in the past. Second of all, this change order is all about the problems that the contractor is having at the site. Now let's go back and remember that when they bid this, it was at the height of the pandemic, and there were a lot of unknowns. There still are in the construction business. However, I think that it's looking like here soon that it'll level off. But some of the things that they bid early on, and I get it that this is the risk of construction, but I think we're in exceptional times here, that things like paint or concrete that you can't order and store for long periods of time, and then even labor. These costs have gone up considerably, and the contractor came to us and said, I've got this problem. And he showed us all the correspondence, all the receipts, all this background information, and originally wanted about $112,000. And we're about partnering and helping with making the project the best it can be and keeping it moving, but we're also not about just paying for everything. So what we did is we negotiated with the contractor for those costs. The bulk of the items, we decided to pay a third of the costs with the assumption that we would pay a third, the general contractor would pick up a third of the increased costs, and then the subcontractor would pick up a third. There were some items that they could not control whatsoever and can't be done until they're ready to go, and that is concrete and asphalt, and we know that those prices are going up. We did agree to pay 100% of that increase. So that being said, this was essentially negotiated from $112,000 down to this $53,000 that you're seeing today. We also extended the days for completion without penalty to July 12th with the understanding that this is it. This is it. We understand there's labor issues, tremendous things that I've never seen in my career, people just leaving the industry. So the negotiation included paying roughly a third of these costs to keep them whole and keep this moving, and then moving the finish date to July, understanding that after July, liquidated damages of $1,000 a day will be enforced. It's not something I like to do, but I felt like it was the best approach rather than having them possibly declare bankruptcy, go to the bonding company. It might take us another year to get this completed. And again, the subcommittee said to move it on. They agreed with what we were doing, but we didn't have a quorum.
All right, are there questions for David? Bob?
David, is this with the understanding with the contractor that if costs go up even more than what were anticipated now, they can't come back again? And
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
got
sir.
some
That's in there. I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
This is it.
David, these are excess funds from Wellness Center number 1 that we're transferring that we didn't have plans to use for anything else?
That's correct, but let me point out, remember Wellness Center 1 received several allocations, and then they got allocations for the improvements, the additional gym and the renovations of the locker rooms and all that. And fortunately, the bids came in lower. We were able to keep $200,000 in there. So it's pardon me, it's not money out of their original project. It's not even out of additional allocations. It is several allocations beyond. But yes, sir,
Yeah.
it comes from one to pay this.
All right. Any other questions?
David, did I hear you say that we're on track or that they're scheduled to finish in July? Are
Yeah.
they on track?
Yes, sir. That was the agreement as we sat down and talked to them. we wanted to know the schedule and when they were going to finish, and they said July 12th. We agreed on July 12th, agreed to give them the days to that point, and as I said, that's it.
Okay.
Other questions? Shall we approve it?
Go.
It's been moved by Bob Nalen and seconded by Zane Boatright that we approve the resolution that's before you. Is there further discussion? Cast your ballot. I vote yes, Lisa. It passed unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to item E. David?
Item E is recommend approval of change order number 2 and amendment number 2, project M3-W005, maps 3 sidewalks, phase 5, in 10 locations, an increase of $287,652.74, wards 1, 4, 5, 6, and 8. So we essentially finished what was originally in the plans for phase 5, and we have, I think the number's $500,000 left over. What we want to do is continue to amend their contract until we spend that money down, and we're going to continue to build more sidewalks based on the priorities that Planning Department has set up. And we're able to do this because we have line item quantities with prices. They agreed to hold their prices. We're just building more sidewalks without having to pay for more design, taking time for bidding. Since it's, in the grand scheme of things, a small amount, we're just going to continue on.
This is part of the overall plan we developed at the beginning of MAP 3.
Right,
And
this is
with the planning department.
it has evolved through the
Yeah.
years, but it
Yeah.
still responds to the planning department's priorities.
Okay. Other questions? Bob?
Just curious, at this point, what's the mileage, if you will, of these additional sidewalks?
I'm going to guess we're past 62, somewhere right in there. But I can get that number for you.
I know with all these various phases, the numbers keep going up, and I've lost track of how many we've,
Well, quite
miles of
frankly, I have
sidewalks
too.
we've put in. Pardon?
I have too.
Oh, you walked them all, David. You don't try them all out? No. Okay.
I've walked them all.
All right. Further questions for David? Discussion? Shall we approve it? It's been moved by Cecilia Robinson Woods and that we approve it, seconded by Bob Nalen. Further discussion? Cast your vote. I vote yes, Lisa. It has been adopted. Thank you. That brings us to item F, David.
Item F is recommend approval of change order number 1, project M3R009E, maps 3, Oklahoma City Riversport Water Filtration System improvements, 800 Riversport Drive, a decrease of $16,300 in Ward 7. So remember that we did the additional filtration, and we worked with the contractor to change some configuration within the pump house in there. Still makes the system just as efficient and effective, but because we were able to change that configuration, reduce some materials, we got a credit back of $16,300.
Can we have it in senior wellness?
We've never turned down a credit that anybody has offered.
We
us.
haven't, and I hope we don't set that precedent today.
All right. Further discussion for David. Shall we approve it? It's been moved by James Cooper, seconded by Dee Morales, that we approve item F. Cast your ballot. I vote yes, Lisa. It is adopted. Thank you. That brings us to item Roman numeral 3 on our agenda, new business. Is there new business that any member has to bring forward?
We don't have any.
Staff does not have new business. Any member have new business? All right, that brings us to item 4, the subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee want to make an additional report to what we've already heard? Hearing none, then we will have no no additional subcommittee reports this morning. Is there other business, David?
No, sir.
Does that complete our agenda, David?
We have one informational item that I just wanted to make the board aware of. So the flooring at Wellness Center 1 had tile outside of the showers in the women's locker room specifically, and then it had carpet. We didn't anticipate still the amount of people that are using the showers and using the facility, and the amount of water that gets dragged out on your body as you walk out into the locker room is expected, but not this much. And it was not getting the time to dry because they were using it from 7 in the morning till whatever time at night. We do not have a contractor on board because we've finalized that, as we just talked about. But what the city does have is some flooring contractors on contract, general contract to do city work. And what I authorize is them to go out there and take that carpet out and tile the entire locker room so that we can get rid of this water issue. I think it was about $23,000, somewhere in that range. Again, good money, but small in comparison to what we're spending. So I went ahead and authorized that, mostly to get rid of the hazard out there of the water, get it moving. So I wanted this board to know that we'd spent that money.
Great. Anything else you want to add under your update, David?
Well, we've certainly talked about wellness centers a lot today. They're both moving along. Katy Trail and Air Depot Trail are still in design, but should be coming out pretty soon, so we can start reviewing plans and get that on the street. And then Union Station is in design also right now. That's all I have.
Great. Any comments by any members?
I forgot
Staff?
to mention Coliseum broke ground and is in construction.
Yeah, I think many of us were there for that. It was a terrific day for breaking ground on the Coliseum, which kind of, Councilman illustrates, I think, one of the things is, I kind of think has been the hallmark of this whole process. It was a cooperative effort between the MAPS 3 and MAPS 4, and I think maybe one of the, if not the first project where we used both money from MAPS 3 and MAPS 4 on the same project. And I think that was a continuation of the cooperative effort that's been made from start to finish, and we were awful proud of that. So,
Definitely proud, Tom, but it did make the walk from the parking lot to my 17th state championship a little longer.
I probably noticed it more than you did, Cecilia. All right, any other comments? If not, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Or from the board, just comments from the board.
Yes, comments from the board.
Anyone who knows me knows I am a movie nerd, and hanging in my office is a poster of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, which 3 years ago at the start of the pandemic, I rewatched the entire trilogy to try and figure out how to make my way through what was about to be a very horrific moment for the globe. I know we had MAPS 3 business this morning. I didn't know about Ward 2 resident Mike Dover and the loss his family is experiencing right now. But that movie came to my mind when you spoke earlier, and I suspect Mike will watch because this board and its work means so much to him, and he knows I'm a movie person as well, and this quote just always kind of stands out to me when someone experiences a loss, and particularly the type of loss that Mike has experienced, which I will never understand because that's not my life. I don't have a child. But this is from the film, Academy Award nominated film, just so we're clear. But this is where the king is describing this particular flower, and he says, "Ever has it grown," and this is after he's lost his son in battle, "ever has it grown on the tombs of my forebears. Now it shall cover the grave of my son. Alas, that these evil days should be mine. The young perish and the old linger, that I should live to see that the last days of my house. To which the wizard Gandalf replies, Theoden's death was not of your making. And the king responds, no parent should have to bury their child. To which the wizard Gandalf reminds him, he was strong in life. His spirit will find the way to the halls of your fathers.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you, James.
Did Lisa have you sign something?
Pardon me.